Hello everyone and welcome to another Hungry Heavy Crafts video, and today I've got a video to share which is part of a blog hop for honeybee stamps to celebrate their new release which is happening today. So this stamp set is called Zen Florals and it's one of 4 of the new releases, and I've made a beautiful shimmery card today which almost gives it a lace effect. So I hope you'll enjoy the video. Last week on Instagram I shared that I had received my new honeybee stamps from the new release, and I teased that I wasn't able to share it, but thankfully now I am able to share because it is now in the shop. So please hop on over to Honeybee Stamps to have a look. But this is the stamp set here. Zen Floral is what it's called, and it has a lovely selection of leaves and beautiful flowers and this amazing big border stamp as well. And that's what I'm going to be using for my card today. I'm starting off by taking 2 of my stitch rectangle dies, and with the largest one here I've cut out a panel using some vellum. And now I'm going to use some washi tape to stick 2 of these dies together to create a frame. So I'm just laying them down and I'm eyeballing them and then putting lots of washi tape on it to make sure that it doesn't move when I run it through the cuppa bug. I've cut out a frame using white card, and I've got the little piece that I'm going to be using as well, the inside piece, but I've cut another of the small rectangle in craft cardstock because I want to use that as a template for stamping, and the craft cardstock will show up a little bit better on the video for you guys. I'm taping this onto a craft mat, and for the vellum I'm lining it up using that white frame underneath as a guide. And I'm just going to put a few little pieces of washi tape on the straight edges, but I'm actually keeping the top clear because I'm going to stamp a border along it. But I want to miter the edges or the corners. So I'm taking some post-it tape and I'm lining up the top corner of the white cardstock with the corner of the inside of the frame where the craft cardstock meets that. I'm going to be using this long border stamp today, and when I go all the way around the card it'll actually turn out, it'll look like one of those Victorian photo frames and it looks gorgeous. I'm going to be using my Fiskars stamp press for this card because this is quite a large stamp. It is about 6 inches across. It's great, it will fit across most of your cards, pretty much all of the ones that I make. And I'm going to be using my liquid platinum embossing powder with this today. So let's prep the surface with a little embossing bag to get rid of any static or any moisture that's on there. And then I will ink up my stamp with some Versamark. And the great thing about this stamp press is that you can maneuver it around so that you get an idea of what the stamp will look like before you press it down. I'm pressing really well along the edges, especially where those post-it notes are, because if you don't press it hard you might miss out a few little pieces. Now that I have this stamped, I'm going to dip this into my tub that I have my liquid platinum embossing powder in, and if I get any little crystals on areas that I don't want it to be, I can just brush that away using a soft dry brush. Now let's blast this with the heat gun, and I love this embossing powder, it gives a real beautiful shine to the project. I've placed the vellum back in place again, and I've moved on to the bottom section, once again masking off the corners using the post-it tape. So let's repeat, stamp and emboss, and once I've done the top and the bottom I'm going to move over to the sides. But this time, when placing my post-it note, I'm going to let a little bit of the embossing peek out so I can get a good connection at the corners. I've lined up this stamp a little bit at an angle, so I've put some washi tape on the top of my stamp press so that I can match that angle when I do the other side like this. So I just line it up with the edge of the post-it note. So now that I have all 4 sides of my vellum embossed, I can move on to the rest of the card. This is the small rectangle that I cut out originally, and I'm going to put that on top of my vellum, and I'm going to be adding a die cut and also some stamping. This is the prayers die cut, and you can create the word pray, prayer, prayers, praying, and prayed. So there's so many options with this. It's really lovely. So I am cutting out the word praying with some white cardstock, and I'm going to be embossing this with the same liquid platinum embossing powder. So to help me get ink on the top and not all over my fingers, I'm putting some washi tape face up onto a scratch piece of cardstock and then smooshing some ink on top and carefully lifting each of the die cuts into my tub of embossing powder. I tend to use a pair of tweezers to help me fish these in and out, and that helps me prevent getting powder all over my fingers. For the eye in praying, I embossed a little scratch piece of cardstock first of all with the embossing powder and then ran it through the Cuttlebug again. So now I have the word praying with my die cut, and I'm going to be adding some stamping using the Sentiment Builder stamp set. This is a fabulous stamp set that was released last month, and it has 95 stamps in it, and you can build up lots of different greetings. So I'm going to be pairing that up with the word praying, and the rest of the greeting will say, "For God to bless your life together." And I've used my Misty stamp tool to help me make sure that my sentiment is straight. Now I'm taking a folded note card and I'm going to stick my frame straight onto the top. And then I'm just going to pop this craft piece of cardstock into the hole there. It's not actually going to matter because I'm going to be raising up the vellum by adding some foam tape. I will take care to make sure my vellum is lined up nicely. And then that small stamped panel will go right on top. And in fact, because the craft cardstock was underneath, I can line it up a lot easier and make sure it's straight. Now I can take my die cut and using a little of my Tombow Mono adhesive, I can stick these onto the front of the card. And let's not forget the dot over the top of the eye. I'm just going to poke that out with a pokey tool and then stick that on top. Now honeybee stamps also carry a line of embellishments, and these are the diamonds, and I'm going to be adding a few of these to the project to really enhance the sparkle. The embossing powder really gives a lovely shine, but these diamonds catch the light and really do add the finishing touch. So thank you so much for watching the video today and for being part of this blog hop. Here is the finished card. I also created another card using the same technique but with black ink and then colored it in using some watercolor paints. This big bold border image is absolutely gorgeous and I think you can get a lot of mileage out of it, but there's also so many beautiful little smaller images in the stamp set as well. So there you go, there's a look at Zen Florals. Thank you so much for joining us for today's blog hop, and be sure to fly on over and visit all our other people in the blog hop today. And of course you can always see honeybee stamps over at honeybeestamps.com and the blog, and check us out also on Instagram. Thank you so much, my little crafty friends, and I shall see you next time. Bye now.